Up, freak bitches.
What's up, free bitches?
Head and Health podcast all day, all night, and day.
That's how we start the podcast, Joe Rogan style, bro. What's up,
What's
Jesse?
going
How you
on?
doing, bro?
What's going on, Ruben? What's going on, everybody? We are back another week of adventure. Real quick, I just want to say we had 300 downloads this month.
Appreciate all of you
We
for
appreciate
listening.
all of you tuning in, listening in. I would really love if you guys hit us up because I'd love to know who you are, what you're about, why you're interested in listening to these two dudes talk about, their things. And I think it's super cool that even after a year of nothing that, first month back, to have such a good outcome, it's exciting. So I just wanted to quickly drop that and let everyone know we appreciate you. We got mad love for you. So thanks.
Thank you always. I think please hit us up on Instagram so we know who you are. And obviously we want to see what y'all want to hear. If you continue to love this, like let us know that too. I think it's good to get that occasionally so we know we're doing something right and this is helping you guys to the best of our ability. So always.
And if you hate it, let
Let
us
us
know
know
too.
too.
Let us know what you don't like, what we love. That doesn't mean we will necessarily listen to your opinion, but maybe we will, and maybe
Yeah.
we'll change something. So with that, let's
we hear it enough times.
yeah. Let's jump in. Another week of Spartan journals. For those of you who don't know, Ruben and I are training for a Spartan race, 2 Spartan races in February of 2021. One race will be a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles, trail run in San Jose, followed immediately the next day by a 6 mile or 10K obstacle course race. It's the first either of us are doing something like this, so we're super excited. We've been training for it, and every week we tune in to chat about what's going on. So let's jump right in, brother. What was your training this week? What did you have to do?
So this was the first week that all 3 days were 3 milers, the 3 days of running, and then 2 strength and conditioning days, which were heavy on the kettlebell, less body weight, heavy on the kettlebell work, and then 2 rest days. So this week I actually switched because I had, we spoke about it already, but everyone, if you follow on the Instagram, I went MIA for about 2 days. I was up in the woods, just like disconnecting from social media, getting ready because September is going to be a very busy month. So I wanted to disconnect. And so I switched the day. So usually Saturday I would do a 3 mile. And I think on Thursday I will have a rest day. So I switched. So instead Thursday I ran my 3 miler and Saturday I took a break, which was interesting because, I like tricked my body. My body thought, differently. So Saturday, I felt like I feel like something's missing today, and I was like, I'm supposed to do a 3 mile, but I already did it for the week. I already put in my miles. So that was the only like big difference. Running 3 miles has become easy. I remember the first time it was hard, but like I don't know about you, Jesse. You probably experienced this, but that first mile is always the hardest. I feel like it feels like the longest. Like it just takes forever to hit your 1 mile, the first mile, and to get that momentum before. So this week was more of a mind game than like my body. Like it was more of like my body's prepped for this. My body knows. My body is taking care of all of this. Lifting the heavy kettlebell, running the 3 miles. My legs are fine as long as I do my stretching and my foam rolling. I'm good the next day. But for some reason, every time I ran this week, that first mile was killing me. I was just like when is this going to be done? That's what's good. I just want to go back into my apartment. It's freaking hot still out here. There's still smog and smoke from the fires, and it's just like part of me is like, oh, I'm breathing all this shit in. It's just complaining. And once I get over that hurdle and that first mile is done, the second mile was a bit better. Then the third mile was just like easy. So I felt like it took me a little long to ramp up into the run. So I don't know about you, but that was my biggest struggle this week when it
I
came
mean,
to
sure, that first mile is always like you're just trying to get loosey goosey, and you're trying to get into that good cadence and rhythm of moving your body. And by the time you're in your second mile, you're like, well, I'm here, so I might as well get this done. So
right.
yeah, I totally resonate with that. I understand. So how do you feel you performed?
I think I did, like I said, I think I did great. Like I probably hit a new record in terms of like time per mile. I think I'm at 9 minutes and like 20 something seconds. Previously, it was like 9 minutes
Like average
averaging. Yeah.
pace?
So I can complete the 3 miler. I think today I did it in 28 minutes, like flat, or 28 minutes and like 1 second. So it was like better than the last few times where I stayed between 29 and 30 minutes. So I guess either my legs are getting stronger or my lungs are getting stronger. Something's getting stronger in order to propel me forward faster.
And
And I had,
are you still keeping a nasal breathing?
yeah, I mean, by third mile, I'm doing more of like it's like Avi, who we've had on the podcast in the past. Um, Something I heard him say in one of his online events was you have certain gears, and it's just like gear one is just nasal breathing. Gear two is like heavy nasal breathing, and then
Nosy, heavy nosy breathing.
oh no, heavy nasal breathing. Sorry. And gear three is like when you breathe through your nose and exhale through your mouth. So that's where I get to by the time I hit my third mile. But right now I'm not breathing just completely through my mouth. So I'm in that gear three where I'm nose, mouth. Um,
And
so that's
are you able to track your zones?
no, because I ain't get Strava like you did.
Bro, you're fucking around, man.
I
You
know
get
I,
that
I know
Strava
that
life.
Whoop does tell me like what zone I was in, so I'm definitely not in zone two like you say that we should be. I'm definitely hovering around zone 3 and 4 because I think
I mean, I
today,
can tell because if you're knocking out 9 minute miles, I'm like, yo, you're definitely pushing the pedal on that motherfucker.
we're not running too slow, but but yeah, I'm definitely. It says usually it's like, oh, you spent, Whoop will tell you like you spent 60 to 70% of your time in this heart rate, which will help you improve, blah, blah, blah. It says that. I mean, I have my phone right here. I can kind of tell y'all what it says when I run. And Jesse, I want to hear from you. Apparently, you did workout today and you ran.
No,
So,
this week was a deload week for me.
was it what?
It was a deload week. So on week 8, I had because after this, it ramps up the mileage ramps up pretty hot, like I don't want to say aggressively, but aggressively for what we're used to. And so I put in a deload week where I did a total of 7 miles. So basically, two-mile runs and a 3 mile run, which I did today, which I really didn't want to do. And I still kept the 2 conditioning days, the 2 strength and conditioning days, um, which were nice. But what's it called? Like this, it's funny. It was a deload week, and I don't know if like the idea that it was a deload week also constituted how I was this week, but um, you know, the beauty of this podcast is that it's a documentation of our journey, and so we can, when you get to go that deep with someone, you can really see the peaks and valleys. And this was definitely a valley a valley week for me because um, I was just stressing out about a bunch of different things, whether it was the future of our country, the
Oh
future of our
man.
world, and everything that's going on with uh, the uncertainties of COVID and what repercussions that has. Whether it was on my job or different business stuff that I am trying to navigate through, um, or family stuff, just a bunch of different things. Even me and Valentina kind of went at it a little bit this week and got into a little bit of scuffling. And then also, and I'm happy to dive into this. I started reading this book called Iron John, which is it's called Iron John, a book about men. So it was really hitting home for in lots of different ways, the story and the psychology aspect of it, and the different, basically.
So is it a story or is it a biography? What's
So
the
Iron John is a story. Actually, I think originally written by the Grimm brothers. I think it was written by the Grimm brothers, or they rewrote it. Um, and it's a mythological story
God?
about a prince boy who basically there's a wild man, a man from the forest, who is locked up by the castle. And one day the prince is playing outside, and his golden ball gets lost uh, into the jail cell of this wild man. And ultimately, they build a relationship. And then I believe Robert Bly, um, I could be so wrong, but I believe Robert Bly is a Jungian analyst.
Hmm.
And so he basically goes on to break down what all the aspects of the story represent in a boy's psyche and the development of him becoming a man, and his relationship to the father, his relationship to the mother, his relationship to the wild man, his relationship to the king, all these different, his relationship to the prince or to the flying boy, all these archetypical um, characteristics of a boy and a man. And so, going through that, there's just a ton, so there was just a ton of different sort of contractions that were coming up for me internally, and uh, there were some of these days I just didn't, I just didn't want to adhere to uh, training. And also, some of you might know this, some of you not, I have a history of binge eating. And there were a few moments where that a desire to do that came up, or not, I don't want to say a desire, but typically if I'm going into a darker part of my personality, stuff like that would come up. But I would say I was incredibly proud because something that I've learned came really in handy this week, which is what's called throning. I think I told you about throning.
Yeah,
Did
you
I tell
did.
you about that?
But please explain for the folks.
So throning is something I learned from Elliot Hulse's coaching program, which is essentially, and it was funny because at the same time that this urge came up, I was actually watching a video of him. One of the lessons in his coaching program is called "Thou Shalt Reveal," and it's basically all about bringing those things that are the dark side of you to the surface, and learning to work with them, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and or like the Buddha would say, like bring him to tea, bring the devil to tea, and basically what you do when you throne is, if you're neurotic like me, as I'm sure most young men these days are, um, yeah, when you're feeling this sense of I don't know what to do with myself, you can lead to masturbation, you can lead to overeating, you can lead to just mindless activity. And there is a lot of mindless activity. I looked at my phone this week, and it said I was on my phone like almost on average 6 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was a shit, to the point where I've deleted Instagram and have set up a system for that. But I'm just telling you the truth, folks. This is the truth. I'm a human. And so basically what throning is you sit down and say you have these urges to, whether it's scroll or it's to eat or do whatever you're going to do. You sit down, and this was so key, is you clasp your hands. You don't have to do it. You don't have to. There's different ways. This is the way Elliot recommends, and I really liked it. You clasp your hands, so you know that you can't move. You know, he calls it patient hands. Like these, like because you always want to do something, right? You want to distract yourself. So you clasp your hands like you did in school when you're trying to be a good student. You just hold your hands.
Oh yeah, I remember that in school. They will
Yeah,
like fold your hands and put it on the desk
exactly.
when they had announcements and shit.
Right, exactly. And so, and you want to get as still as possible, like as much stillness as you can get within your body, so you can look directly at what's going on within you instead of trying to spill that energy out. Right, you want to let it circulate throughout your body. Um, because I also had to go work out, and I was like, I want to binge, I don't want to fucking work out. Um, and I had this moment of stillness, and I was like, good to go. I got up and I was good to go.
Mhm.
Um, and so it was a lot of sort of mental drama, mental games that were coming up for me this week, as one does. But and fortunately, I guess in some ways, maybe I was fortunate that it was a deload week. Maybe I wasn't because it wasn't as motivating. Who knows? But I was still able to get up and go and get out there and get it done, and stick to the foods that I know are good and clean for me, and keep a keto lifestyle, and keep fasting and all those things. I was still able to get done, even though I was going through all this mental masturbation, all this mental uh, chatter. And again, it was another one of those weeks of a total appreciation for athletes, total appreciation for
Mm.
people who are dealing with life as they're also preparing for um, tournaments and challenges and competition. Like it's not easy. It's not always that easy. So much respect to you athletes out there.
Seriously. And I know we've had many conversations this week because I think it's funny how like that was happening to you and it was also happening to me. But on the flip side of your happenings, like I always looked forward to working out because I feel like that was a way to like deload all that energy that was just circulating in my body. And I was super excited that Karina and I decided to go up into this shack in the mountains of Los Gatos and be surrounded by nature, no sound, just nature sounds. We saw wild turkeys, we saw turtles, we heard a wild pig somewhere. We actually heard it. We didn't see it because it was too dark. Um, but I like you said, you did the dethroning meditation. I'm reading this book right now by Kamal Ravikant because I think it's funny that when we do these things, right? We're working out right now, and we're really focused on the physical. So if you listen to the last like 4 episodes, this is episode 5. Last 4 episodes are a lot about the physical, but we don't, and there's very little talk about the mental. And I think with outside life, like this mental aspect comes into all of this, and it's just like you start doubting yourself. And I'm like, will I be able to do the half miler? Am I gonna fail? Am I gonna be the last one to cross the line? Am I gonna, hurt myself during the obstacle race? Like all these stars start coming out
Really,
because,
those things come up for you?
well, it
They
came up
haven't.
for me.
They haven't come up for me. Yeah, that's
It's come up
interesting,
for
bro.
me, but I think it was because like I was struggling through all these things, and we spoke about it, and like it's personal. I don't want to talk about it on the podcast yet, um, but the last 2 days I was able to be out in nature and like be away from the technology. So actually, like you had 6 hours, I'm down to 4 hours a day. Um, so I saw that today. I was like from last Sunday to Friday, it was about 3 to 4 hours every single day I was spending on my phone. And it breaks it down for you. Like social media was this many hours. I think social media was about 2 hours. And then they have like resources. So I guess when I Google stuff and stuff, had a few minutes there. And then they have like a miscellaneous. I was just like, I don't know what that means. But that was like the other one. So I decided to pick up this book, Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It by Kamal Ravikant. Because I'm like, am I loving myself right now? And like, at one point I was just like, not really. You haven't been doing all the things. Yeah, you're working out and you're doing the physical part, but have you focused on your spirituality? Have you focused on, and we spoke about this earlier in the week, have you focused on these things and what you truly want and what you want to do and all these conversations? And me and Karina had, because we were, she spends more time on her phone than me. I want to see her time, because since you're saying 6 hours, hers is definitely more. So I'm really curious to see it. So I'm gonna check it out
I
tonight.
typically, and mind you, for the audience as well, I work in marketing, so a lot of that time I spend is actually um,
Posting and whatnot
doing
for the
work, yeah,
company.
posting, replying to shit, all that stuff. So that's definitely part of it. But I'd be lying to myself if I said that was the bulk of it. A lot of it is me just mindlessly looking at shit because of flurries of activity. Like it's just not that I'm being productive. I'm just not
Right.
trying um, to pay attention to what was coming up for me.
Exactly. I mean, I have my biggest rule of thumb is like, just put out content, like don't consume, because I already consume books, I already consume podcasts. I'm like, what is there to consume on Instagram? You know what I mean? To me, there's not much.
It's a
um
drug, it's a for anyone who thinks it's not, it's a fucking drug.
it
All
is.
those little dopamine hits get you. And I've seen it, I've had those moments where I'm scrolling and then I have to like warm up for my workout and I'm so dopamine out that I'm like exhausted or I can't like move forward unless I put music on or have something like some other external form of entertainment to
Right.
get me going. And I've seen that within myself, and so it's dangerous. It's super
It's so
dangerous. So
dangerous. And what's crazy is that, because this, when we had these 2 days, so one was that me and Karina had to do, we had nothing but each other and to talk to each other. 'Cause we didn't have phones, we didn't have Netflix, we didn't have any of that. There wasn't even light, bro. Like we had to use lanterns. They had lanterns in the little shack.
that's
So when it
awesome.
got dark, that's all we had for light. And it gets dark right now around 8, and we don't usually fall asleep until about 10:30. um, so we had 2 hours of just like, what are we gonna do? So we just had that time for ourselves. We talked a lot about a variety of things. It was great to just chat and like go deep. Um, and from this book, I actually got a meditation. Like you mentioned, there's a meditation. That meditation, the dethroning, putting your hands together. And this one, he's more of like, find the instrumental piece of music or some nature sounds. I was already in nature, that's one. So there was this lake and there was like a small brook that made this like tiny sound with you heard like birds chirping every now and then. And I used that to kind of anchor myself. And in the meditation, um, which is about 10, it's only 10 minutes. Like, luckily, he's like, it's not long. It's about 7 to 10 minutes, depending on the song you choose or what you choose to kind of like anchor yourself. And what it is every time you inhale, you imagine that the universe is like the universe, the sun, all this nature and all this like healing energy is coming into you from the top of your head. And if folks listen to like or like understand chakras, your crown chakra is open to the other side of the dimensional plane, if you believe in that stuff. But it's just nice to like imagine that healing energy just coming from into the top of my mind every time I breathe in. Like I'm breathing in the universe. That's what he says, to imagine that. And then I breathe out slowly all the negative thoughts that are coming in. So like what I have to do for work. So anytime that thought came up, he's like, just exhale it out. So it's basically, I'm breathing in this universal healing light, and then I'm exhaling all that negative, like I gotta do stuff in the Western mind that's wild. And I used that technique, dude, twice this weekend, and it was mind blowing. I felt like such in a calm, serene state, and obviously the nature probably helped. My challenge now is to do it around here where they do leaf blowing every other day, and there's kids running around on their bikes, and there's all this noise happening, Wi-Fi and TV and all these things that we have to distract us. So it's definitely something I want to get like master, because obviously my mind still got distracted. The two times that I did it is only twice, but there's that spiritual
I mean,
component to,
your mind's always going to get distracted, though.
oh man, it's so, I mean, but it's like
But I don't
this.
think the point. I don't think the point is for your mind not to get distracted. I think the point is for you to allow distraction.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
and kind of weave through it, I guess, right? Like
Yeah.
be like intentionally be like, oh, that's a distraction. Do I need this thought right now? Probably not, but like, what do you need? And just like asking whatever that thought is just distracting us, like being like, what do you need? Like, I need to get back to this. Like, what do you need? And give it that time to like go through. But that's what I got from the book, and that's what worked for me. I journaled a lot. I wrote a lot of like things that were in my mind, which I kind of spoke to with Karina because I was like, I want to let this stuff out. I don't want to like keep it in. There's an exercise he has here. Maybe it might work for you too. I want to try it. So it's exercise where you write down all the things you've done in your past that you haven't forgiven yourself for. Um, and I'm like, I think about like things with like my dad and like all these other things that come into mind, like whether that was like when there was many times that I did bad things to my mom or I spoke wrong to her, and like have I forgiven myself for that? So that those things started coming up, and it's just like I'm trying to find a way to make sure that when we get to the point to do this race and beyond, and whatever comes after that, I want to be completely clean. I don't want anything holding me back. You know what I mean?
Do
Because
you do you feel like you walk around with a lot of guilt?
not necessarily, because I feel like a lot of that got taken out, and if folks don't know, I don't know if we spoke about it, like when we met next level. Like a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
that was definitely like removed during that time because I felt like super light. Um, and and then after that was like the mushroom trip, which we've spoken about before with the guys, about a year and a half ago. Like both of those times, I felt like I released a lot. Um, but it's funny because like as your life continues, things come back into your mind that you completely forgot, and you're like, "Holy shit, that happened when I was young." Like these things happened when I was a kid, and I'm like, "Fuck, that was fucked up that I did that to this person, an ex-girlfriend, all those things." Yeah, like I thought I'd forgiven myself, but because I didn't remember that at the time, maybe I haven't. So what I like about this practice is that you write all that shit down. Like, have I, like things you want to forgive yourself for? Maybe you have to revisit something and be like, have I truly forgiven myself? And write them all down, and write a quick note to yourself, which sounds funny. So you say, in my case, I say, dear Ruben, like, you should forgive yourself for these things. And he has like a nice little thing you can write, and like a template. And then you write all that down, you fold it in the paper, and you let it go into the ocean, and you meditate on it, like letting these things go into the ocean. Um, so it's like things like that. But even the smallest things, bro, because these small little things that it's just like, oh, I remember, I screamed at my sister this wrong way one time, and I still hold it probably to some extent, right? Or like, I screamed at my mom this one time and cursed at her, or told her I hate her when I was like 9 years old. Like, and you've read The Body Keeps the Score, like all this shit, like
I
really.
have not read that book.
You have not read that book? Well, in that book, he
Is
talks about,
that why? Because I think that's when you started having these conversations with me. Was after you read that book.
yeah,
Did
man,
that
because
knock you on your ass a little bit?
it did knock me on my ass. Because it made me think, and obviously there's that whole part of like psychologically, like our memory kind of sucks. So like,
Yeah.
am I making things up? Because he talks about that in the book too, how people made fake memories, and then like someone got in trouble for this fake memory. And he talks about like a rape situation. And then the woman came out and was like, actually, this didn't happen. Um, I just, my mind did a trick on me. I don't think this happened. And she worked with like multiple psychiatrists and all this stuff. Ended up not being true after they revealed all the information. And the guy that unfortunately was arrested for it, he got let go and he was fine. But the fact that can happen because your memory is so it's not the best, especially as you get older and those earlier memories start to like fade more and more. So there's those things too that come to mind. It's just like, what have I done as a kid? And I was like, damn, I was a badass kid. So I did a lot of bad shit. I was a bad kid to my mom sometimes. I was horrible to my sister. So like those things, just talking to my sister and all those things, but it's like, what's still there that can possibly hold me back from truly being fully optimized physically and mentally, because a lot of what we're getting into is more of a mental game than a physical game. You know what I mean? Like, you can move past some physical stuff that you feel you reached the limit, David Goggins style. Like, this is just 40% of what my output. I could definitely put in more, but that's all in the mind. So like,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that that's all cleaned up,
Yeah,
before.
I noticed that. I noticed that with fasting this week for sure. Like,
Mm,
I was even texting you. There were times where I did not make it all the way to a 24-hour fast, and I didn't stop fasting. I was still doing 18 to 20-hour fasts pretty much every day. Some longer, some shorter, and I still got my 36-hour fast in last weekend. Um, but because of all this mental chatter, once I started getting a little hungry, you know, just a week ago I was fine. I got through it. I was good to go. But because of I let my emotions, I let my mind get the better of me this week,
mm,
and so and you can say on one level like, well, I was hungry and so I wanted to eat, but on another level, it's like, well, we have emotional attachments to food, and at some point, you know, you want a nice warm meal when you're dealing with stress in your life, or you don't want to deal with headache and hunger pangs when you're stressed out about you're having existential crises or some shit like that. You know what I mean? So I definitely noticed that within myself this week, and I don't judge myself. I'm not shameful of myself for how I performed this week, but I'm definitely aware and not proud of how I performed this week, as far as what I believe my potential could be. So, because I went through the motions, I got everything done, but I was not at the pinnacle of performance,
mm.
and so that's definitely something I want to be mindful in going in this week, as we go to train and I go back to increasing the mileage and doing all those things um, and reading. Like, so one of the biggest changes that is happening this week for me is I deleted IG. What I'm doing is, because I need it for work and to continue posting for our own stuff and making sure. So to keep it really intentional, I set an alarm that's going to go off every day at 5 o'clock. And so from 5 to 6 o'clock, I'm going to have Instagram on my phone. I'll download it. It takes a minute to download. Be on my
Right.
phone. I'll post. Maybe I'll do a story. I'll make sure for the company I work for, there's posts going out and I'm replying to stuff and all that good stuff. And then by 6 o'clock, I delete the app again and do it over the next day. If anyone from Apple is listening to this, if any of you are listening, you should create a hide your app, like hide apps. They should create that. Like, you should be able, so I don't have to like re-sign in constantly. Just hide the app, um, so it's just not there. I don't see it, and then I can shut that off whenever I want to.
Don't they
That's
have
just
apps that you can lock specific apps at to from one time to another time?
oh, word.
I think so. I know that I listened to Tim Ferriss's podcast and he talked about one. I just forgot the name.
On your
Apparently,
phone though, because I know they have that for the computer, but I'd love to know which one exists for
well,
the
I'm
phone.
sure they have to have the same one they have for the computer for the phone, where you can like block certain. You probably got to pay for it though, because it sounds very, um, in terms
Techie.
of software engineering, it's probably a bit complicated. So, but I'm sure there's something, bro. If you do the right research, I forgot the name, but you'll probably find it if you do the right research to hide the app versus having to
Yeah.
delete it. And you can set a timer, and you may need a specific like passcode to like put it in, and maybe you
Yeah.
can Valentina to create the passcode for you to so that you don't unlock it during those times it's locked. But there's something like that around, I'm sure.
And so the second thing is actually my blood tests have come back from
Oh, good.
my all those tests I did. Well, it was blood and it was also stool. What's really funny about the stool test? What they had me shit in? They had me shit in one of those. French fry like cups. You know what I'm talking about? Those little French fry scooper things that you
Oh,
get. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like when you get curly fries or
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
I was pooping on one of those. They didn't even like brand it or nothing. Like it was exactly that thing. Or like you get like chicken nuggets in them or something. So some little poop nuggets. But anyway, so all
Great.
that stuff came in. So me and Boomer are going to be meeting on Thursday to go over and see what's going on inside my body and what tweaks I'll be making to my nutrition and to my supplementation and all of those things. So I'm super excited for that. Um, and to continue fasting, I will be doing a 36-hour fast tonight going into Tuesday. Um, are you doing it tonight or are you doing it tomorrow?
Tonight, right after dinner, which we're having a very early dinner, so I should be eating by 5, but I think the dinner is coming by 4:30, 4:45. So I'm saying by 5 because we don't know. Um, we are gonna have dinner and then start the fast. I'm not gonna eat till Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're in this together, brother.
Yep.
Um,
So I'm
cool.
getting my fasting app. Well, I getting my fasting app ready. I already have it set so that it can remind me when to start fasting. So
Yeah, that's the app he's talking about, guys. It's called Zero Fasting. Super dope app. Highly recommend you use it. Mustafa started fasting.
yes. Well, his religion requires him to fast for quite a
Yes,
long
for
period.
Ramadan.
So I'm sure he's gonna be like, this is simple, you know?
Well, you know what's interesting. So, um, uh, any Muslims out there would appreciate this, or any Muhammad is connected to all of the religions. So the Prophet Muhammad,
Yeah.
he uh, he would fast every Monday and Thursday.
Why?
That was just what he did. I don't know. Well, I'm assuming there's probably more to it, but when I asked Mustafa that, he was like, "That's just what he did." So Mustafa's doing the same thing. He's fasting every Monday and Thursday.
A full 24 hour or
Yeah,
36?
yeah, 24-hour fast.
That's dope when you putting all your friends on the fasting.
Yeah, I mean
Fast.
Eddie, our buddy Eddie, he did a 16-hour fast, I think, on Monday for the first time. I remember when I first told him about fasting,
And he was
I never
blown
got this reaction. He looked at me like I was fucking crazy. He was like, "What do you mean you don't eat? You're not, like, what do you mean you don't eat?" I was like, "Yeah, man, you just don't eat." He said, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." So definitely gonna. I mean, yeah, it's awesome, man. Like, it also, especially if you're a dude, like you want to learn how strong your mental game is consistently fast because anyone can fast, you know, every now and then. Everyone
right.
can plan for a fast and do it. But
Just
when
do it
you're
after
like,
Thanksgiving. You'll be
huh?
okay.
Say
Doing
that
it after
again.
Thanksgiving, you'll be a-okay.
Right, exactly. Or if you're like, you're just doing this for a day. If you know you're just doing it for a day, you're like, well, I can get through this. But if you're like, well, I'm gonna live a fasted lifestyle, like this is gonna be the way I exist is fasting. Um, it can get difficult. It can get difficult because you start to see that based a lot of times based on where your mental game is how you perform. If you're positive, if you're feeling good, if you're doing all right, 24 hours, like it's hard, but I can get through it. Like it's no big deal. 36 hours, it's hard, but I can get through it. It's no big deal. But you're in a shit mood, uh, and how long can you last in a shit mood? Because your mind will. I mean, I'm speaking. Everything I'm saying is true of me, which is like you start to be like, well, I'm hungry. Like I did 24 hours yesterday. I'm hungry. I gotta eat. I got a meeting coming soon. I gotta make sure I'm fed. Otherwise I'm not gonna be able to do it. And I say all of that saying that if you do break your fast early, you don't shame yourself. You realize that you did wrong and that you didn't hold this to the standard you said you were going to hold yourself to. You don't shame yourself because that's where it can get dangerous. Because
Right.
fasting is difficult. Fasting is a difficult pursuit, and sometimes maybe it's really valid that you need to go break that fast and you need to go eat. Um, And if you're adopting this as a lifestyle, then you're not always going to be 100%, So don't beat yourself up for it,
Mm.
but also just realize like it's a constant reminder of where you're at mentally, which I think is also really great in a time of. Uh, we live in a very peaceful world. I know things are going look crazy. Things look crazy,
They look
but it's the
crazy.
America is the most peaceful it's ever been. That's why we can worry about. I'm gonna get yelled after this. This is why you can worry about gender pronouns. This is why you can worry about,
True.
um,
It's
uh,
true though.
minor minor problems between different people. This is why you can cry about different shit. This is why you can make fun of your president. This is why you can do a lot of these things. Is because you live in a very fair and peaceful country in comparison to what this country was 50 years ago, in comparison to other countries right now. Not to get political. I'm not a political person. I know nothing. I'm a fucking moron. But what I'm saying is, we are not inherently we are not tough. There's no need for us to be tough unless we're
Right.
putting ourselves in, unless we're constantly putting ourselves in tough situations, um, which is something I'm constantly stressing about. That like I need to be put into. I don't want uh, bad things to happen. I want to just put myself under, uh, uh, you know, by will of choice, hard situations, stressful
Right.
situations, which can be difficult right now if you're stuck at home and that's all you're doing is just being at home. There's not a whole lot you can go out and do. So fasting is a great way. It's a great way to challenge all those parts of your body that want to deny what's going on.
But what inspires you to continue to do it? I think that'd be a great question to answer for folks. Like, what inspires you to fast? What inspires you to do the hard thing? Like, what continues to be that motivating um, part?
I'd love to throw that question at you first. Because you're
I mean,
really the one. I've even texted you this before. Like, you're really the one who when it comes to specifically fasting, like I've seen you take that on, pretty hardcore from the jump. Like you were doing 3-day fasts every month. We did that 5-day fast together. You were doing 24-hour fasts. You were doing 36-hour fasts. You were just that somehow just became a really strong part of your lifestyle. So I'd love to throw that at you first.
well, I think it's because mostly like there's the side of growing up, like I kind of always had to figure shit out. I mean, it's never been easy, I can say, being living with a single mother, one income, barely making ends meet, and having to, at 13 years old, figure out ways I can get money so I can still be a kid, but also help out my mom, whether that was, and we spoke about this. I used to go out with my cousin Melissa and DJ. I used to help her with her DJ equipment. She used to, pass me a quick 20, you know what I mean? To help her with that. And I will put that, have that for myself. Or when I started like working at a young age at a supermarket, 13 years old, packing bags, eventually I became a cashier at that supermarket and getting paid an actual paycheck, not only tips. But I've always like leaned towards the hard thing because I definitely had to like find a balance between like sitting and playing video games all the time, which is something that I did a lot as a kid, like much more than I do now. I mean, I've lessened that. I haven't done it at all in the last month, thank God. But I felt like I needed to like combat that. I always felt the need to find a balance. So it was like, what can I do that's hard? So I got into like weight training at an early age. I got into weight training in high school because they let you pick what kind of gym you wanted to take. And I chose weight training because I saw all the football players and the basketball players, and they were super fit. And I was like, I want to be fit. You know what I mean? I want to do that. And I've always been competitive, so that was also it. Like me and my friends would fight on who is fitter, who could lift the most, do the most sit-ups, do the most push-ups and stupid stuff like that. And I wanted to be stronger than them. And being around, I had a cousin whom I spoke to you about who who inspired me all the time. He played baseball. He trained like crazy. He was crazy strong, crazy fast. And I'm like, to me at that age, he was a god. Like for some reason, he beat me at everything. I was just like, that was the first time I felt like shit. Like it's like, damn, there's people. Because as a kid, you feel like you're invincible, right? You feel like you're the best. Like no one can beat you. And then when someone beats you at something, or someone like really showcases like this is what I can do. I can run further, I can run faster than you, I can pick up heavier things than you, like all around just strong. We used to play fight, this dude's hands were just like tree trunks just like grabbing you. I was just like, fuck, this dude is strong, and those kinds of people always inspired me, my cousin being the first one. But then obviously the internet came about and I found other people. I watched documentaries. Those people always inspired me, man, to be better. And like, not only the body, but then I started finding people like Elliot Hulse who were like, it was the mind and the body, where he was just like, I'm strengthening both, right? Like, yes, I work on my body, but I work on my mind just as hard. And he always had books he was reading. He always had these videos. And I started finding more people like that. And all those things inspired me to really like, hey, this never ends. Like, you're always going to be working towards something. You need to continue to challenge yourself if you want to be at least the top 5% of all human beings, physically, mentally. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even saying to be the top 1%. I want to be the top 5, right? Like you see America now, what is it? Like 70% of Americans are obese, like something like that. Like, okay, I can outrun them. I can do these things. I want to help those people as well. But there's a part of me that's like, well, I'm better than these. It's that Western mindset, but it's this fine line that you have to play. That's like, I want to still compete and be better than people, but at the same time, I want to help those same people to be the best versions of themselves as well. There's like fine line between that keeps me inspired to like continue to try my best, no matter how hard things get.
That's fucking beautiful, bro. Damn. Is it my turn? Is that my
Yeah,
turn?
that's where I stopped.
It's interesting hearing you say what you said, because for me, I think my motivation really, if I was going to be honest, right? If I wanted to speak honestly, my motivation comes from a feeling of, I was not a athletic kid. I've talked about this before. I was in theater class. I liked that. I was I got into a ton of fights, ton of fist fights, ton of dangerous activity with dangerous people. I did all those things, but I was always kind of a soft kid, really, really. I was really a soft kid, and especially when I was younger, I got bullied. And I think that there came a point where I just sort of realized that like I got to, if I'm going to succeed, if I'm going to win, I have to be better. I just got to be better. Like I just have to be better. And you know, I think like many people who are aspirational are their own worst critics. And so I spend a lot of my days seeing all the things that I could be doing better and seeing all the ways I could be better. And I really enjoy fasting because it's a direct, daily, constant, because working out is easy for me. Like I can do that, like I can, like there's literally no one I'm afraid to work out with. You know what I mean? Like they might perform better than me, but I don't think I will ever quit. Like I have complete confidence that, um, and I'm sure there's some guys who'd probably make me throw up, and I feel fear. But if I trust that person, like let's go, let's keep going. There's no amount of exercise that I really feel like exercise doesn't challenge me in the way that creates mental toughness for me. The only way it does that is if I don't want to work out, but then I choose to do it. But just doing it is something I can do. I've been doing it for years. Like, it's fine. But what I love about fasting is it is a constant reflection of how I'm handling myself. Because I know for a fact that I am not hungry. Physiologically, I am not hungry. You know, I'm not starving. 24 hours is not a long time to not eat. Humans can go up to 30 days without any food, potentially even longer. Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. So um, I know that 24 hours, 36 hours, even sometimes 48 hours, which I have not done in a while, or I don't think I ever actually did that. I just went straight to 5 days.
I
But
remember that.
and
That was
also knowing that that's where I've been. I've been 5 days. I've done that. So if I'm doing a 24-hour fast, I should be able to do that no problem.
and mind
So
you, for folks that haven't listened to that episode, 5 days and we were active. We were still working. I
yeah,
remember still going to Daybreaker and dancing. Like
yes,
we still
you
did
you are a madman. I did not do that. I was like, nah, I'm staying home on this one, buddy.
that was on day three. I remember that. But anyway, go ahead.
No, so I think that's because sometimes I'll talk to myself like, oh, okay, I did the fasting thing. Like, let me just go back. But I don't want to go back. I really want to keep fighting to make this a part of my life and make this a consistent part of my day and experience because there's so many health benefits. It's really a golden tool. Like, it's literally a golden tool to your health. And you just have to get over that hurdle of that mental game. And I remember listening to Jocko actually talk about when he found out about fasting, which was really recent. It's a recent thing for him.
Really?
That he was like, oh, I can actually like incorporate this into my day. And when you hear him talk about it, he was all this shit that I'm saying of like, oh, I have to like adapt to it and get better at it. And but he didn't say any of this. He was just like, oh, I can go a day without eating. Cool, let's do it. Oh, I can go another day. Cool, more time to get shit done. More time to get it in. More time to work. You know why? Because he's already built that mechanism of just like, oh, this is a hard thing that physiologically doesn't feel good, but it's good for me. Cool, let's go. Get after it. You know what I mean? For me, there's still that level of weakness, like
Hmm.
I'm still weak in areas. I'm still mentally and physiologically weak. And fasting is a direct reflection. It's the constant boss and battle in my life of uh, can you go? Can you do it? Can you just all you gotta do is not eat. It's that fucking simple. Just don't eat. And the rewards are so great. There's so many more rewards of just not eating for a day than there are of like getting rid of this little headache that you're feeling.
I don't think anyone understands how delicious food tastes after you
Yo,
3 day fast or 5 day fast. Like after that 5 day fast, I remember having a small piece of steak because you have to be very light, and it was the most delicious thing. Like a strawberry tasted 10 times better than what it would taste when I eat on a regular day. It's crazy.
and also I noticed that like my attention is through the roof. My clarity, my ability to work, my ability to focus, my ability to deal with problems is just so much better. So
Just have more energy to put direct,
yeah,
versus your body being like, I need this, I need to take like 30% of this energy and spend it on like digesting what I just ate.
plus like blood sugar and insulin and all these things, you're just not dealing with it. So, and your adrenaline goes up. Your adrenaline goes up when you're fasting, so you're more focused, you're more alert. It's awesome, you know. And anytime I break fast early, I can make whatever excuses to myself, but I know on a deeper level, it's just like, I just didn't want to deal with that anymore. I just didn't want to deal with that emotion, or there was something else bothering me. And also, you got to recognize, like, for me, I'm coming from a place of binge eating. I'm coming from a place of where I could not get away from food. You know what I mean? Like, Like it was really hard. I was such an emotional crush, and so to get to the point now where I can uh, feel comfortable fasting all day, and the challenge for me is just to not have a normal meal, like just to not eat. Like I never, even when I break my fast, I'm never like I'm gonna gorge. I have no desire to do that anymore. I mean, obviously, I was sharing earlier that there was this one moment where I was feeling stressful, and I worked through it, but it doesn't really come up for me anymore. And so, it means a lot for me to continue to progress and get better at this thing, um, uh, as the days go by and the weeks go by. And I think also, like you said, like having friends who are doing it too, and knowing that they're going through it, and knowing that they're trying to navigate these waters alongside. It's like, fuck yeah, let's do these hard things together.
Hard things for the win. We should
Hard
make
things for the
sure.
win. And if you're a weak-minded person, and if you're a weak-minded, and many people are weak-minded people, to some degree, you could break anyone. And if you want to get tougher, you don't have a lot of resources. Fast,
Fast.
fast.
It's so crazy because not only are you're not spending a single penny, you're also saving money because you're not eating the food, you're not eating out, you're not doing any of that. So like if you do it on a consistent, whether that's skipping even one meal, I think it's for those who do have a hard time with like, hey, just try to skip one meal, try to skip breakfast, try to skip dinner, whatever makes more sense. And then start from there, then skip your second meal and go into OMAD, one meal a day, and then try a 24-hour. And then, build up slowly. If that's what it takes for somebody to get into this lifestyle, I think, and obviously coaching is a big part of that. Like Jesse's been doing it, I've been doing it, like reach out to us. I think we even had a whole episode for the first season that was based on the fasting, especially the 5-day fast. If you want to listen to that, back in season one, we had that whole episode. It's called the 5-day fast. Just us two talking about that experience. I think it's crucial, especially nowadays where advertising marketing is really kicking our ass with all the food that's out there. And anytime you drive down or walk somewhere, there's food just everywhere, so abundant. It's crazy because not that long ago it was challenging for everyone to get food, and there's still
Yeah,
challenges in other parts of the world for people to get food. It's also humble to be like, I'm not going to eat this. Like, I'm
yeah,
not going to gorge myself. I'm not going to be posted like being part of that addiction that exists in our society where it's just like 3 meals a day. It's like, you don't need 3 meals a day. Get the fuck out of here. Like, just
yeah. It's just
unnecessary.
consumption. There's so much consumption, and,
Right.
and it makes us really neurotic. Same thing with the 6 hours a day on Instagram or 4 hours a day on Instagram. It's like um, continuing to minimize act, unconscious consumption. Food is definitely unconscious consumption
Right.
in many ways because there's no health benefit to having 3 meals a day. None, unless you've got a thyroid issue or you've got some very specific health issue that. Because I know, one of my old bosses, he had, I think, his thyroid removed or part of his thyroid removed, and if he goes without eating, like it could be bad for him. So for his circumstance, like yeah, he should definitely eat often and consistently. But for most people, especially if you're obese or overweight, um, or above, 12, 13, 14% body fat, like there's no benefit to you eating every day. None. There's more benefit to not eating.
Right.
So, um, uh, and once you realize that, you're just lying to yourself at that point. You're just like, why are you eating? Why are you eating? And these are all things that come up for me. I'm not outside of that equation. So.
Go back to the simple life of our
And so,
tribe.
what was your nutrition like this past week?
So we're going on a month without eating out. Obviously, we ate out yesterday. We're gonna eat out today. So I'm gonna be completely because
What are you getting today?
we're closing the month out with pizza. Yes, I said it. We're gonna do the pizza thing, and then I'm going straight into a fast. So it's gonna be a hard fast on purpose. I did that on purpose. I'm gonna do a really hard fast of 36 hours. So you're probably gonna hear me, Jesse, like, I don't think I could do this no more. I'm hungry. But that's not the case because I'm not gonna eat anything. But we're gonna close out the month with that. This month of September, we're not eating out at all. So like that's the goal. Like, one, because we're moving, so financially it just makes sense. And when you move, you got to pay first month's rent, sometimes last month's rent, security deposit. So we're like, we need to save up on the money. And but last week, similar, like carnivore-ish, lots of meats. I added a bit more vegetables in, but not as much as you think. I had like two salads this week. I had some fish, like just sticking to that. Crazy enough, though. So thank you, Jesse, for giving me the symbiotic. I think we spoke about it on the last podcast. So
The
because we
seeds.
talked about poop, seed, yeah. So I ordered them. It's coming this week, but last week I went to our supermarket Sprouts that's nearby. They actually have On It products there. And
Oh
as I
wow.
mentioned in the last episode, like their gut health has been tremendous for me. So I got that after our call last week. I went out that Sunday, went to Sprouts, got me some gut health. It was a 15 pack. I was like, this should last me enough to like get the seed. This should be coming soon. I think it just shipped out. So I've been eating that, and once again, bro, beautiful. Every single
Really?
day, nice, beautiful,
That's awesome.
boop, and that's it. So taking my gut supplementation. I've been taking magnesium at night to help with sleep because I know last week we spoke and I was having trouble sleeping. So sleep was pretty good this week. Um, I think it's due to just the fact that once again I've been eating earlier and earlier. Like dinner is, I think yesterday was like 5:45, around 6 that's it. We had nothing else, like no other food. Um, and the day before that was like 6. So eating earlier, carnivore-ish. I'm doing mostly 16 to 18-hour fast a day. Moving up to your level, Jesse. Yeah.
Is that
I'm
something
just,
you'd want to do? Like, would you want to do 24-hour fasts, like
I
multiple
don't
times
know.
a week?
I don't know. I probably would, but I'm thinking that once we start hitting like 7, 8 mile days, I don't think that's gonna,
Feasible?
yeah, I think it's gonna be detrimental.
What about
Um,
20-hour fasts?
Possibly. Maybe definitely got to be extremely strategic as to like what you maybe drink beforehand. Like what I've been experimenting with before I go out for a run, I put a little salt on my tongue and I drink water, like a sip, and then I go out for running so that I have that electrolytes. Just to
Well,
see.
there's you ever heard of Tailwind? It's
No,
an electrolyte. It's an electrolyte. I mean, yeah, you can get electrolytes. Like On It has an electrolyte
yeah, the
product that you
minerals.
can use.
I thought about getting them, just to kind of like see like how much output, like what it looks like, especially as we're going into like mileage I never done because I've done 2 miles way back in the day. I've done 3 milers way back in the day. But now we're moving past that, right? And I've never done 4 miles, for instance, or I've never
Oh,
done
word.
5, 6. You know what I mean? Like I've never done that many in terms of running. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting to experience that. Is that once again, how can I optimize my body to be able to handle the output that I'm telling it to do? So
Right.
I've been listening to a lot of this week. I've been listening to a lot of Thomas DeLure in terms of like, and he talks about like, yeah, we don't need to count calories, but when you're training and you're doing things like this, you kind of have to pay attention to what you're taking in. Um, because, and after watching that Alone show, I think I told you about it.
Yeah.
Alone season 6 is on Netflix, folks. Highly recommended to understand like how people go out into the wilderness and survive and what they build and how they hunt and all these things because it's bringing it back to what we had to do before. Um, and I was just like, they talk a lot about like how many calories they're taking in. You can see the difference between someone who hunted a moose. One of the guys hunts a moose in the episode, and his caloric intake is really high. And talk about the how important it is to have fat when you're out there. How important it is. Like carbs are unnecessary. Like most of them are eating berries and moose meat, squirrels, and rats. I mean rats, rabbits. So
Wow.
it's really fascinating when you look at that and you're like, oh, I'm kind of doing that with a carnivore-ish diet, right? Like mostly berries and stuff like that. So I try to have more of that, but also notice that I eat less all the time. Like
Yeah.
don't eat as much as I used to. You know, I can eat a. Yesterday when we went out to eat, I got a ribeye platter, and there was like broccolini and mush and mashed potatoes, and I had maybe like two bites of the mashed potatoes. I was like, yuck, it was disgusting. I ate the whole entire ribeye, and I had maybe like a little bit of the broccolini, gave the rest to Karina because it was just like it's unnecessary. Just give me
Yeah,
the
I
rib.
mean, that's the other thing with fasting that I've found is like I get full pretty fast, and then I just don't want to eat anymore for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Your body knows, man. It's a genius. It's like, oh, you put this much output today. This is how much food you need. You can stop now. But you got to get to that point that you can be self-aware to understand when it's time to stop. Um, I
It's
haven't had a
awesome, man.
full, like a full nasty full feeling in a very long time.
Yeah,
So,
that's
what about
awesome.
you? What's nutrition looking like for you this last week?
Yeah, so like I said, I kept it pretty keto. It was basically, I was having a keto leaning towards carnivore. So I had some delicious goat meat this week, some goat like
Changing
ground
it up.
chops. It was delicious, man. I think I still have a little bit. It's actually a much darker meat because I think they have more iron in their blood. So it's very nice piece of meat. So that had some bachelor steaks, some bacon. I fucking love bacon. Um, and so that with some macadamia nuts. I got to be honest, and I will let you know once I hear back from. I will let you know once I hear back from the from Boomer when we go over our blood tests.
Can you explain
But
what Boomer is real quick?
yeah, Boomer Anderson, he runs a podcast called Decoding Superhuman. If you haven't heard, in previous episodes, I recently did a bunch of blood tests and some stool tests and a urine test to get a full profile of what's going on in my gut. If I have any gut problems, if I have any food sensitivities, if I have any, uh, parasites or infections from be it heavy metals or toxicity or anything, and all a full blown profile other than hormones. We didn't really do any hormone testing. I think mainly because I'm a young guy and it's probably unnecessary right now unless there's something that showed up that could be more questioning, which I'll find out on Thursday. But I'm curious to see how that conversation goes. But I gotta be honest. I gotta be super honest. I'm almost almost like 90% sure that I'm gonna have to cut out nuts completely from my diet. I'm almost 100% sure. It's not that I feel like terrible uh, uh, when I eat them, but I do notice that there's a bit of an addictive quality to them. I used to overeat them a lot. Now, especially I think macadamia nuts, it's really filling, so I don't have too much of them. But that I think there's a sensitivity to nuts that I probably have,
I
and
mean, you read
I
the
will.
carnivore diet, no? Like the Carnivore Code by Paul
Yeah,
Saladino. That
I
whole
know
phone.
but he's against everything outside of
Meat.
he's against everything outside of meat. So other than like honey, he likes
Honey.
honey and
Yeah.
berries and fruit. I mean, honey and fruit. He's not
Yeah,
too.
but I mean, but he really like railed on nuts. I think it was nuts and certain vegetables, but like nuts was really bad apparently because of the amount of lectins that exist and like how it
Yeah.
can cause a lot of GI distress apparently.
Yes. Yes. But are you still having nuts, or you cut them out?
The most the most I have, dude, is like I love pumpkin seeds, and the reason why I eat pumpkin seeds is because the high amount of zinc that's in them. Um, so what I started doing is I bought there's this brand called Activated. And what they do is they sprout their pumpkin seeds, they drizzle a little bit of olive oil and put salt, Himalayan sea salt. So I've been eating those. They're delicious. And like I said, like zinc, Right now, there's studies out there that show that it's protective against COVID, zinc, vitamin D, and of course vitamin C. So I've been up in my pumpkin seeds intake, but the only thing I get my like other than that, like maybe I'll have a little bit on something like pecans on a salad or something, and I'll have like two and crush them on it. But that's the
But
maximum.
you don't have like nuts.
No, I mean
Are
the
you still
it's
are
a
you
fat
still
burner
getting?
for a while.
I was gonna say, are you still getting fat butter?
Well, last time they had their sale was probably like April when I got like 2 tubs of fat butter. I had this salty almond and their snickerdoodle, and their snickerdoodle is amazing and addicting as hell. So please do not get it. It's too delicious.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but we pretty much finished the salty almond. I put them in my smoothies when I have smoothies every now and then, and I finished that one. And we're at the tail end of the snickerdoodle. You know, Karina uses it occasionally as well. Um, but once that's done, I ain't getting it no more.
Yeah, so you're cutting nuts out.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Occasional little bit of pumpkin seeds, like I said.
I might have to follow suit. Yeah, that's definitely something that comes up for me for sure. So yeah, cool, man. Sweet. So that's definitely something that's there. But otherwise, it's been a chill week. Uh, the one thing I did not perform as I was committed to last week was the long fast. But we're jumping into a new week. I probably won't be doing 24-hour fasts every single day. Um, I won't keep myself to that, but I definitely want to do this 36-hour fast coming up, and we'll likely follow that by a. Would you? I'm gonna ask you this live. Would you be down to do a 24-hour fast this week?
Well, I'm doing 36 tomorrow, and another 24.
Yeah.
When?
When would you feel comfortable to do it?
Probably Thursday.
Like Muhammad?
Like my,
Like the prophet?
like the prophet.
I mean, if you do, then me, you, and Moose would all be fasting together.
Yeah, I would do it on Thursday. I say Thursday because it's the one is the lightest day at work.
Okay.
Uh, which makes it actually a bit more challenging. Like tomorrow is going to be fine because it's such a busy day that I'm probably not even going to think about eating
Right.
at work. And Tuesday is also a busy day, so like like that morning is going to be easy to just like run through. Um, but yeah, like Thursday is a light day, so it'll probably be more challenging to do a fast. So why not?
So why not? Okay. Are you doing this because we're live or because you really want to do it?
No, part of me says I need to do more like fasting. I definitely like don't do it as often, once a week at most, and then every other day is like 16 to 18 hour fast, which
Right.
is intermittent.
Right.
But yeah,
All right, dope. So 136-hour fast this week, going into Tuesday. We'll do another 24 on Thursday, and the rest we'll keep doing what we've been doing, 18, 16, 20-hour fasts. And
yes,
we will report back, and let us know if you want to do this with us. If you are doing it with us, I hope you guys know that we know you're listening. Like we have
the
and
data.
software that shows us that people listen to this podcast. We know people are listening to this podcast. So I know you, yes, you, the one who's listening right now, we know you listen to this podcast. So if you're going to do this with us, fucking let us know. Because we can all hang out and talk about it. And we ain't got nothing else going on. It's COVID, baby. We staying indoors. We do the same shit every fucking day. So let us know, and we'll chat. So awesome. Yeah, let's do it, man. This was a great episode, dude. I think we talked about some really great stuff. So
Oh yeah, a lot of content in this one. Probably my favorite so far.
sure, and also if you guys could also let us know if you like these topics, outside of our training, if you would like to hear more about what's going on in our lives, some more, our mental practices and how we're dealing with the wilderness of the world right now, how we're all dealing with that. If you're interested in learning about that, let us know. We'd love to talk about those things because, there was a few times just this week, Ruben and I have jumped on calls and have, poured our souls out to each other. So it's a thing. It's a real thing. These are all challenging times, and we're humans, so we're all going through it. So
Exactly.
that is that. Ruben, is there anything you want to leave the people with?
Follow us on Instagram. Check out our, leave a 5-star review on the podcast app, if anything. And I'm sorry for our Spotify listeners. Unfortunately, our software people have not gotten back to us about why it's not releasing on Spotify. But once they do, we'll let you know firsthand. I just want to say that live because we hold each other accountable, right? So I apologize to our Spotify listeners that probably had to move to the podcast app or Stitcher or all the other places that these episodes get released because they're not finding it on Spotify, but it will be there as soon as we get a hold of these people.
Yes.
All right, but other than that, Jesse.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ruben. We'll check back in next week on Spartan Journals with the Hidden Health Podcast. Peace.
Peace, y'all.